sometimes you gotta push through all your obstacles. Seem like life go light to speed. Slow it on down, baby, just to breathe. I gotta go hard, gotta go far. That don't mean that we gotta fall apart. I'ma stand tall for all of us. We were born to run.
The road to the Daytona 500 starts right now. A new racing season begins, and we've already had plenty of big names, big wrecks, and big controversies. Fox Sports is glad you're along for a wild ride in the Budweiser Shootout from the world-famous Daytona International Speedway. On a wonderful Florida night, the temperatures will be in the 60s, but the cars will be in the 200-mile-per-hour range. It's a select field of winners, and they were just introduced to the crowd. 25 drivers, including defending Cup Series champion Tony Stewart and others. Welcome, everyone, from the Hollywood Hotel, along with the legendary Darrell Waltrip. I'm John Roberts. We welcome you to the 12th season of NASCAR on Fox. And Darrell, allow us to congratulate you on the honor of being inducted to NASCAR's Hall of Fame.
Well, John, it was the greatest day of my career. And to get this ring, it just was icing on the cake. It's a great accomplishment. I'm really proud of it.
Now, there was another ring that you wore for several decades.
Yeah, I had a championship ring that I wore for 30 years. I retired it. It's going in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to wear this one for the next 30 years.
Well, way to go, old buddy.
Thanks, man.
Next Sunday's Daytona 500 will feature the superstars racing tonight, and one special star making her NASCAR Sprint Cup debut. Danica Patrick, the IndyCar Series winning driver, is such a household name that even as a rookie, she gets her own music video. And now we welcome Danica Patrick to the NASCAR on Fox Hollywood Hotel. Danica, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
Welcome to
Happy
Hollywood.
to be here. Well, thank you. I don't get there very often, so I'm glad to be here.
Danica, how does this event compare to other big events that you've been a part of? I'm thinking about Indy and other places, but how does this event compare? People, emotion, the whole thing.
It amps it up. It amps it up. There's so many fans. There's so much media attention, as we've been doing for the last, 2 months getting ready for this. And there's so much preparation. It always, the teams had all winter to work on the cars, so there's just so much on the line. You know, we all want it so badly, so it brings out the best and the worst in all of us.
Yeah, well, you're a rookie down here, and of course, I don't know that that's a disadvantage. It could be a big advantage, particularly when you watch how these guys practiced on Friday night. We'll take a look at some video of a big crash that happened on Friday night, and I know you and Smoke, Tony Stewart, y'all talked about what happened. Can you talk us through this situation right here, what you see?
Well, it looked like Kurt was trying to go around the car, and he just turned up the track, and you know, you line the bumpers up a little bit wrong, and bad things happen. So you know, you make quick movements in the car with somebody pushing you. You're going 200 miles an hour. It happens. It's happened before, and it's probably going to happen again. So you know, it was unfortunately it tore up some cars in practice, but you know, they got backups, I guess.
Are you ready for Are you ready for all this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. Can you help? Will you help me?
I'll tell you what. You need to go.
John, will you help me?
Maybe you can go upstairs and watch the race tonight.
I'm going to go.
Well, maybe you better not. Come to think of it.
Well, Danica will be with us for the start of the race on this opening night of the 2012 season. Daytona is more than a racetrack. It's an experience. Here now from the infield is the musical group Little Big Town.
Sing that same old song far too long, far too long. You say you'll buy me a shiny ring, but your words that don't mean a thing. Let me hear you. No more calling me baby, no more loving like crazy till you take me down, take me down, take me down, take me down, take me down to the little white church. Take me down.
So much excitement building here at the Daytona International Speedway. It's such a happy time for drivers because they are getting ready to kick off the 2012 season with a good old-fashioned shootout under the lights on a Saturday night. Well, before the race begins, Darrell, we are all here tonight with very, very heavy hearts.
Yeah, and folks, you may wonder where Chris Myers is tonight. Well, Chris, the Myers family had a tragedy this Thursday night. Their son Christopher lost his life in a car accident. Chris is not here with us tonight, but buddy, I just want you to know we're all standing with you. We love you. We miss you. We're praying for you. Godspeed to you and the family.
It's a select field of winners involved in this year's Budweiser Shootout, and they were just introduced to the crowd. 25 drivers will compete, but before the whirlwind of activity, there's time for reflection. Let's head trackside for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Patrick Air Force Base Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Dr. Tim McNeil of the First United Methodist Church offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. You are our God and we are your people. We give thanks for this night of moon and stars and man-made thunder. For these who drive in the shootout tonight, may they shoot straight, be clear, be driven, be calm. Shalom and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back four-time Grammy Award nominee and Academy of Country Music Award winner, Capitol Records recording artist Little Big Town, as they perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Little Big Town.
As the drivers head to their cars, we'll hear more from Danica Patrick and find out where in the world is Jeff Hammond. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, home of the Daytona 500. It's the Budweiser Shootout. Darrell Waltrip is on his way to the broadcast booth to help call tonight's race. So let's bring in the newest member of our NASCAR on Fox team, his brother, two-time Daytona 500 champion, Michael Waltrip. Tonight he'll drive the 55 car, but most weeks he'll be in here. Michael, are y'all set out there?
Man, this is Daytona, JR. I am set. I love it. I also love the style of racing that I think we might see tonight. Talking to several of the drivers in the drivers meeting, they're talking pack racing. Maybe you can push for a few laps, but you're not going to be unbelievable push all night long. And Johnny, all the success I had here at Daytona, it was a huge pack. I won in 01 and 03, and you had to be 3 and 4 wide even sometimes to have success. So it's lining up nicely for me. I can't wait to get in that little hot rod of mine and go see what I got for him tonight.
Well, we're glad to see Michael's excited about something for once. You know, Danica, he's excited.
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah, but doesn't that, no matter where you're racing, what you're racing, don't you get those butterflies in your stomach? Don't you get fired up before a race, no matter what it is?
Yeah, I get nervous before every race. People still ask me, you know, of course, do you get nervous before a race? Of course I do. Big time, every time. And, you know, I'm the most nervous as I'm kind of at driver intros, walking to the car, standing and waiting around for all those minutes for the anthem and everything. And then once the anthem's done and you got to get in, that's it. I'm fine then. Once I have something to do. So, you know, buckling and making sure you're feeling comfortable. And just before they tell you to go, I'm just thinking about, does my balaclava feel comfortable? Does my helmet feel comfortable? Do my belts feel comfortable? And then you go.
So what's your plan for tonight? Where are you going to watch? What are you going to look for?
Well, I'm going to go up to the spotter stand, and I just kind of want to see how, you know, the flow of the race is going to go, because there's going to be more pack racing for sure, and I think they're definitely going to start that way, just getting settled in. But I'm just going to be looking for the runs and where the good lanes are and what seems to move well. And Ryan Newman, my teammate, was saying that, you know, sometimes the cars feel different on the outside versus on the inside of them, and the way that it pulls the car back in the side draft. So I'm just going to be looking at all that stuff.
So there is so much to learn here tonight for all the drivers, whether you're on the outside looking in and watching the others drive, or you're actually in the race car, because there was a lot of changes that went on from the practice session earlier in January to this actual racing tonight. So right now, we're about ready to get this thing started here under the lights at the Daytona International Speedway. Let us go trackside and get the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, representing today's United States Armed Forces, please welcome Petty Officer First Class William Kimbrell, Petty Officer First Class Andres Reyes, Petty Officer Second Class Aaron Schwartz.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Danica mentioned that she's going to go up on the spotters stand. This season, Jeff Hammond will find himself anywhere and everywhere around the racetrack, and right now that is exactly where he is, up on the spotters stand. Jeff, what's your view of this race?
So far right now, JR, it is an unbelievable view from up here on top of the spotter stand. You know, you can see here behind me all the spotters that are lined up and getting ready to go. But the thing is, last season, NASCAR allowed the drivers to talk to one another, make their own deals. But this year, they put a stop to it. It's now back on the spotters and the crew chiefs to make the deals. If you want a dance partner, this is where it's going to come from. As a matter of fact, the deals are going to be made so fast, well, they're going to rival the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And tell Danica, I'm waiting on her.
All right, Jeff, she's going to be up there in just a second, but Danica, probably in this race more than any other, that spotter is so important.
Yeah, it is big time. You really have to have a lot of trust in them, and you've heard that always before, and it's not like I've not had a spotter before. But when they're clearing you, and you literally are just trusting that the car is out of the way and you can slot up, because you can't always see them. You just, you know, it took me a while to really get that comfort level, and so you do. You know, once you find a good one, hang on to them and work well, and that's kind of what I've been doing. So lots of trust up there.
Yes, so crucial here at the big racetrack. The season is about to begin with NASCAR on Fox. The green flag racing is coming right up, and when we come back, we're going to go high atop of the Daytona International Speedway to get you fired up for the Budweiser Shootout. If you've never seen the Budweiser Shootout before, you're in for a special treat. And as the cars approach the green flag, let's turn it over to the men who will be calling tonight's action: Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. Guys, this is a fun and exciting event.
That it is, JR. Thank you, and hi, everybody. This race is fast, and it's unpredictable. Yes, Dale Earnhardt won it 6 times, but in its 33-year history, it's had 19 different winners. One big question, though, Darrell, that practice did not answer for us. Will we see pack racing? Will we see the 2-driver tandem? a combination of the two, or something completely different tonight?
Well, Mike, I think maybe the bigger question is, can you keep your cool? Because that's one of the things these guys are really going to have to deal with, watching that water pressure, watching the water temperature, because the way NASCAR has changed the rules around and moved that grill opening where the cars can't get a lot of air to them to try to break up that two-car tandem, that is the $200,000 question tonight. Can I keep my cool?
So can the drivers and the cars keep their temperature under control? And Larry, this race runs in a 25-lap segment, a 10-minute break, and a 50-lap segment. With NASCAR's new electronic engine management system and fuel injection, if that second 50 laps goes green flag all the way, can they make it?
And that's one of the big unknowns. You may think with a 10-minute break and 25 laps in that first segment, I'm just going to lay back and kind of watch things happen. I don't think so. You have got to go and go hard. You've got to learn all you can, because I think it's going to be very borderline for these drivers in those 50 laps. Can they go the distance on fuel? I think that's a question no one has the answer to.
This race has had a variety of formats and a variety of ways to set the field. Last night at the annual Budweiser Shootout Draw Party hosted by Steve Burns, they determined the starting lineup. Martin Truex Jr. drew the right Bud bottle and won the pole. So Truex in his second shootout will start from the pole alongside Kyle Busch, who had 4 wins last season. Row number 2. Brad Keselowski in his first shootout, and Jamie McMurray, a past 500 winner. David Reagan, who won here last July with Kurt Busch, the defending shootout champion. Greg Biffle, who got his first win in the Cup Series at Daytona, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., a 2-time shootout winner. A.J. Allmendinger, a shootout rookie. Joey Logano is there. Carl Edwards in row number 6, the runner-up for the championship, and Jeff Burton in his 8th shootout. Ryan Newman, past 500 winner, and Jeff Gordon, 2 shootout wins. Tony Stewart's won this race 3 times, more than anyone else in the field. There with Denny Hamlin, the only rookie to win this shootout. Clint Bowyer, first Cup start without Richard Childress Racing. He now drives for Michael Waltrip. And Jimmy Johnson, 5-time. Kasey Kahne in his first ride for Hendrick Motorsports, and Michael Waltrip, 2-time Daytona 500 champion. Marcus Ambrose is the other Bud Shootout rookie, with Kevin Harvick, who won this race back-to-back. Matt Kenseth, Daytona 500 champion, and Paul Menard, the defending Brickyard winner, and Juan Pablo Montoya making his 3rd straight shootout start. 33 drivers eligible for this race, 25 starters.
We say we see, oh brother, where art thou? Mikey, it's DW, got a copy?
Go ahead, big bro.
Hey man, 2 times on February the 18th, I've stood up here and called you home the winner. What kind of shot have we got tonight? We got a chance for 3 in a row?
I think so, Darrell. You're going to see old school racing, I believe, tonight. I think these guys are going to run in a pack, and when they're packed up, I've had a lot of success. So talk to Dale Jr., talk to Kasey Kahne. Nobody knows what to expect. They don't know if they're going to be able to push or not. So you got a great seat up there, and I like what day it is for me.
Roger that. No pressure, but I would like to see you up front. So put your big foot to the floor and let her rip.
All righty, brother. Y'all have fun up there, and I'll hang around up there with you this year if you don't mind.
Roger.
Ready to race in Daytona. Let's get last-minute updates from our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew, beginning with Dick Berggren.
Well, Tony Stewart is a 3-time champion in this series, and he has won more races on this track than anybody else in tonight's event. But last night, a big crash on the track, major damage to the car. The crews say they have the car straightened out, fixed. It's okay. Stewart, confident, relaxed, he's ready to go. Chris Devoda.
Last year, Kurt Busch won this race, made the chase, and then found himself standing in the unemployment line. Now trying to rejuvenate his career with a relatively underfunded team, Kurt is also trying to make racing fun again. Nothing fun about getting wrecked in that first practice, like Dick Berggren mentioned with Tony Stewart. But his boss, James Finch, told Kurt this about tonight: do whatever you have to do to win this race. Now that should be fun for us to watch. Matt?
Krista, for Dale Earnhardt Jr., tonight's rules package could provide the closest thing to old school racing, where Jr. scored some of his biggest Daytona wins. He and Steve Letarte, his crew chief, told me, you can't orchestrate a game plan tonight or even a partner. Instead, expect about 65 or so laps of big pack racing, and then who knows what's going to happen. Expect no loyalty with anyone here tonight. Steve Burns.
Thank you, Matt. Kevin Harvick is a two-time winner of the Budweiser Shootout. He went back-to-back in 09 and 2010. Now, he's known as Happy Harvick, but he wants to be referred to as Hungry Harvick. Looking for that first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. He's finished third 2 years in a row. He has a new crew chief. He and his wife, Delana, have sold off their racing teams, and they're expecting their first child. He is focused on winning the championship, and although it's not a points race tonight, his focus is on that title. Jeff Hammond.
Well, over here up on top of the spotter stand, the deals have already been made. Believe it or not, the 88, well, he wants to lead, but he wants to get to his best buddy, Martin Truex Jr., who's on the pole. Look for him to make a move early on, and then try to use Martin Truex to not only get up toward the front, but take the lead, flex his muscle. He wants to show this field the way around Daytona, the way he's done in the past, Mike.
Thank you, Jeff. The field takes one to go, and let's take you back to yesterday afternoon's practice session. The concern about bump drafting. Darrell explained why Tony Stewart turned Kurt Busch around.
Well, all these drivers know that you can push all you want to when you're out to the right of the car, when you're pushing from the right-hand side. But the way these cars are yawed to the left, when you get on that left-hand corner, it just pushes that car right around, spins it out like we saw right there. So these guys have really got to watch that and not get over on that left side, because it's instant wreck.
Certainly no intent there. No, Kurt was trying to go high to avoid a slowing Martin Truex. Tony got in the back of him, around he went, and kind of like on the highway, the car in the back is kind of deemed to be at fault, but racing accident.
Yeah, I mean, if they could have talked to each other, which that's something that they can't do this year, if the spotter maybe had to give them a little bit better heads up, that maybe could have been avoided, but it's practice. Everybody's all revved up. That happens.
67 degrees. Not too cool an evening here in Daytona Beach. This race is 75 laps. They'll run 25 laps and then have a halftime break, if you will, a 10-minute pit stop. The cars will stop on pit road, and anything you can do on a normal pit stop, the teams will be able to do. Then a 50-lap segment. And 4 cars involved in that crash you just saw will start the race from the rear.
And you saw that pit road speed of 55 miles per hour. You're out there racing over 200 miles an hour, make a green flag stop. That can be tricky. And that fuel window, about 44 to 48 laps.
Will we see pack racing? Yes. Will we see bump drafting and tandem racing? Yes. We may see a lot of things we haven't seen.
Well, we may, but I do think the guys will use these early stages of this race to figure that all out. They'll be working themselves, setting up for the end of this thing, because that's when you're going to see some two-car tandems, I think.
Changes in the rear spoiler height, the bumper height, the new engine management system, a lot of changes, but one thing hasn't changed. The grip on the steering wheel, the foot on the throttle, and the desire to get the 2012 NASCAR season underway as they come off turn 4 and face the start-finish line.
This is going to be, we ended the year with so much excitement last year. The championship and a tie. Tony wins with the most wins. What a great finish we had to 2011. But folks, you ain't seen nothing yet. Get up on your feet. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Martin Truex from the pole led the drag race to turn 1, but that's Jamie McMurray, #1 on the high side, taking the lead off 2.
He got quite a push from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car when they took the green flag here on the start-finish line area.
Joey Logano locked onto the back bumper of Earnhardt, and he goes to the lead entering turn 3.
It's been a while since Junior won a race, but the first time he drove a Hendrick Motorsports car right here 3 years ago, he won this very race.
3 wide off turn 4, around a complete lap 1. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Joey Logano, Martin Truex, McMurray, side by side. with David Reagan.
Yeah, I've been watching that outside line. I see Kevin Harvick in the 29 car with his teammate Paul Menard in the 27. They started way at the back of the pack. They've been working that high side.
That's one thing, since they resurfaced this racetrack, you can just run anywhere you want to, have tons of grip, no issues in the turns.
Jeff Gordon getting a push from Denny Hamlin. You're watching from Kevin Harvick, 29. Way on the high side, McMurray comes up to cover Harvick. That leaves Jeff Burton in the middle. In 31, the cat car.
Larry, Harvick runs this race like Dale Earnhardt did. I mean, what do we call him, the closer? And you got to get the job done in a hurry in this race. He is wasting no time getting to the front.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick started back in the 22nd position, and we've only run 2 laps, and he's worked his way to the front.
I always thought that's what made Dale so great in this race. He was impatient. He didn't wait on anybody. And if you didn't go, he'd make you go.
Riding with Carl Edwards. And now Harvick gets up to the back bumper of McMurray. No contact. But McMurray squirts ahead of Martin Truex on the outside. Still a lot of 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and you notice not a whole lot of pushing either. I mean, everybody's got a little gap. Everybody's being pretty respectful of each other right to this point anyway.
Jimmy Johnson audio.
The 34 car has David Reagan in it. The 55 is Michael Waltrip. Remember, the 15 is Bowyer. And in the 22 is Allmendinger.
So many changes this year. Drivers need a scorecard.
Yeah, could you replay that a couple of times so we can remember?
McMurray to the front for Chip Ganassi. Jamie McMurray, past champion of the Daytona 500, puts his #1 in the wind and drops it down to the bottom of the racetrack in front of Earnhardt.
That one car, Larry, pretty stout piece, I tell you. Took off and led the thing, and here he sits leading it, coming to the line.
Yes, he is, but I'm looking back there. They are 3 by 3 by 3 by 3.
This is the kind of pack racing Daytona fans have long been familiar with, and it's a 2-car breakaway. Can McMurray and Logano get away from this field? Doubtful. How long will it take them to run him down?
There have been so many aero changes made in these cars. The rear bumper's been extended down to cut the airflow out from the car down some. The rear spoiler's smaller. Lots of aero changes.
Hang on, Jamie. You've just been freight trained on both sides.
But he jumps back down to the bottom behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 88. They cut him a break and let him in.
Yeah, he knew better than to close that door because 88 was coming.
And Middletown, Connecticut's Joey Logano forges to the front. Michael Waltrip on his bumper, and Harvick is right there in third.
And Mikey started back in like, what, 22nd, I think it was. And here he is. So you always worry about where you start in these races. At Daytona, it really doesn't matter. The draft is so effective. Martin
Truex to the top spot. Truex, Harvick, Logano.
Jamie McMurray in that one, he's not bashful about throwing a block on another driver. He even threw the block on Paul Menard in that 27 right there.
As this race starts to get, as everybody starts to get comfortable, Larry, we'll see it more and more and more. They'll start pushing each other a little bit more down the straightaway, a little bit more in the corner, and that's when we got to be careful.
And look what happened to Truex on the inside. He had no one to draft with, and he drops back outside the top 10.
Pretty amazing that the guys that all started in the back, for the most part, have driven right to the front. Like I've always said, I'd rather be coming than going. Whoa, a little wobbling back there with Matt Kenseth in the 17.
And Kurt Busch in the 51.
And remember, Kurt Busch started at the back, and that car has no time on the racetrack. That's a backup car. He was one of those drivers involved in that crash yesterday.
Turn 4, we may have a new leader. Harvick on the bottom. Nope, not going to do it. Around the high side, Dale Jr., Jamie McMurray, and Kyle Busch in the 18. 1, 2, 3.
When we talk about pack racing in the way it used to be, and Michael was saying old school racing, that 88 car, he likes that. Dale Jr. in that 88 car, he likes that high line, and that used to work really well for him down here.
Now teammates hook up. 29 Harvick and 27 Paul Menard from Richard Childress Racing. they hook up. And instead of all the tandem racing we saw last year, Darrell, it kind of looks like catch and release racing. I'll help you down the straightaway. Then I'll let you go a little bit. Then we'll get together and we'll try again.
You see it right there, Mike. As you just said, Menard pushed Harvick down the back straightaway into the third turn, but he had to get off of him, and that opened the door for Dale Jr. to come right back.
But one reason that they have to do that is because these cars start overheating a lot quicker with the rule package that we have right now.
And they don't just start.
Trouble turn 2.
No.
5, 6 cars in it. And more. The dreaded consequence of pack racing is the big one.
Yep.
Paul Menard, the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
I can't even tell whose car that is.
That's actually David Reagan in the 34.
And Michael Waltrip will not go to victory lane tonight.
No.
First caution of the night, mid-pack between turns 1 and 2. From the blimp. Let's see what happens. McMurray in the one coming up, and Reagan gets in the back of Menard.
Yeah, that's what happened. He got down on that left side and pushed him right around. You just cannot touch a guy on the left rear corner or you're going to wreck him.
Montoya and Gordon get away. Kenseth's involved. The 55 of Michael Waltrip, heavy damage. Tony Stewart in the 14 scoots through. Here's another look. Watch the inside lane. The 34 and 27 is the first contact.
Yeah, the 27 of Menard, he needed a break right there. But David Reagan was all over him, and when Menard went up the hill just a little bit, Reagan was on that left corner and turned him around.
Damage to Kasey Kahne in the 5 as well as Hamlin in the 11.
Tony Stewart slipping right through that mess on the bottom there, and here comes Jimmy Johnson slipping along.
Now on this next replay, watch the 24 of Jeff Gordon come into view here along with the 17 of Kenseth. Little bump. Kenseth contact with Burton. He is sideways. He's in it. And Gordon, bump, bump, and by.
I have seen Jeff Gordon do that so many times, and that's just experience and keeping your cool and driving through it and not trying to avoid it.
It's right along inside the Farmers Insurance car.
Check up. Get low if you can.
Oh, man.
Got up into the wall, Kenny. Got the right front corner.
Big bump for Kasey Kahne. And now, this is Michael Waltrip's view looking over at Denny Hamlin.
Roll right up there. We're going to be right into
it. Not so pretty pictures from our new Fox side view cam on Michael's car. Jimmy Johnson, 48.
Johnson does a nice job, just like his teammate Jeff Gordon. Finds a little hole, finds a little place to go, and slips right through. Even with these cars, know you're going to come down the hill, but he makes it by.
One more look, super slow-mo. We've completed 10 of 75 laps. Big pileup between turns 1 and 2 in the Budweiser shootout. 15 to go in this first 25 lap segment. Caution on the racetrack and pit stops taking place. Krista.
Carl Edwards, and so is Kurt Busch. Right now, the biggest issue with Kurt Busch's car is he had to replace the shifter knob. It's loose, Matt.
And Jeff Gordon had a slight damage to the left rear area. They're going to work on that. They had a rub. Other than that, Gordon felt very lucky to get through that incident.
The hood is up on Clint Bowyer's car. They're working on the right front suspension, it appears.
I got to believe he probably run over some of the debris in that accident. They're looking under the hood to see if there's any damage.
Big pileup down at turn number 1 as David Reagan got into the back of Paul Menard and others piled in. Aerial coverage by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for the proving grounds of NASCAR inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Under caution for the first time tonight, 11 laps complete. And with our Fox Super Zoom, look at David Reagan right there and how far to the left side of Paul Menard he is sticking out as they make contact.
Yeah, I think we can even look deeper, Mike. You see the 27, you see the 34, but the 16, he had a little bit of a roll in that too. He got into the back of the 34 car of Reagan. I believe that shot him up into the back of Menard a little bit too. And we just heard Kevin Harvick say we can't bump each other like we did last year. And I think that may have been a chain reaction right there. Plus, Biffle was too far left. That's an automatic spin out.
You know, Darrell, last year they really wasn't bumping. They were just pushing.
Yeah.
Now you have to go up there and just bump.
Get off. You got to get off.
Yes.
You know, very similar. It looks like Biffle could be into the back of Reagan just a bit as Reagan gets into Menard. It looks eerily similar to the crash in yesterday's practice between Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch.
It really does. And
Stewart got off to the left side of Busch, gave him a bump, around he went. No contact here between the 16 and 34.
And Mike, what we're seeing, it's like going back to school all over again. We finally learned how to do the two-car tandem, got that ironed out, got it working, got it perfected. Now we go back to this.
And let's exonerate Greg Biffle. Biffle did not make contact with Reagan until Menard was already in full yaw, headed sideways.
Yeah, the front of his car looks very clean. He looks fine.
Michael Waltrip checked and released from the infield care center. 8 cars involved in this pileup. We'll check in a moment and find out how many of them will be unable to return. You're watching the Budweiser Shootout on Fox. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. One lap before we go green, 3 cars behind the wall. Paul Menard, David Reagan, and Michael Waltrip.
Hey, Danica, it's DW. You still got your headset on down there?
I'm here. I'm all wired up.
You saw the wreck on Friday with Tony. What are you seeing? What are you learning from these accidents that we're seeing?
Well, it's looking like if you get hit on the left side of the bumper, as we're seeing, that bad things are happening. And so, you know, obviously with the rule changes and losing 50 counts of rear downforce and what effects those things have had over the last couple of months of getting changed, maybe they have bigger effects than we really know. I know Ryan Newman was saying that his car was looser out there when he was bump drafting than had previously been, and he was correcting for that and dropping the track bar to make it a little easier to drive. So, you know, maybe these cars are more on edge. I mean, you know, we're running in a pack, so, you know, you take side force away and you're running so much closer, and you've got, you know, probably less aero downforce. So, you know, how much closer to the edge are we with these rule changes and with the pack running versus what we were before when we were a 2-car tandem just spread out?
So,
you know,
as a rookie, are you learning things that will be helpful to you when you find yourself in these situations?
Yeah, if I'm pushing Tony, do not go to the left side of his car. If I'm pushing Ryan, do not go to the left side of the car. But I just think you're seeing that, you know, it's perhaps a little bit more dangerous to be bumping each other in the pack than it was before. And when you're running really close, you have to react very quickly to things. So as we saw with Kurt trying to move up the track with Tony pushing him, you have to make quick movements when you're running in a pack, and you know that car behind you cannot see. And so if you can't see, then you're not going to follow him up the track, and you know, perhaps accidents are going to be a little bit easier. And now that we're in a pack, they're going to be a little bigger.
Thanks, Danica. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is our leader, 14 laps complete. Kevin Harvick second on the restart. Martin Truex, Jamie McMurray, Joey Logano. Then Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, the top 10. Starting at the rear will be Matt Kenseth. They rolled a tire on their pit stop out of the pit box. He goes tail end of the field. We're back under green. 15 down, 10 to go to the halftime break.
I think there's about 3 or 4 cars that have really shown me a lot of speed. That 29's one, the 1 car's one, Dale Jr.'s 88 car, and maybe the Napa car of Truex. I'm just not sure how good he is yet.
Our top 6 drivers did not hit on that caution right there.
Saw the speedy dry down in turns 1 and 2 from the accident.
And Mike, this could be the end of the race, and you see what we've got. We've got 29-1, Harvick and McMurray pushing each other away from the pack, and this is what guys are going to be thinking about come the end of the race.
So off turn 4, Harvick the leader from Jamie McMurray. Little bump and shuffle back there about 6th place as we check in with Dick Berggren.
Michael Waltrip, you were right in the middle of that. What was it like?
It was crazy. I caught on fire and everything, Dick. I twittered before the race started that I was going to share the track with the greatest drivers in the world. I think it proved right there even the greatest drivers sometime run out of room. And what a big pack. It's everything we hoped for. I think you'll see them calm down a little bit now, though. Probably spread out a little.
I hope so. Thank you, Michael.
Well, the pack has caught those 2 leaders, and McMurray breaks out from behind Kevin Harvick. McMurray in the number 1. Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming in 3rd in the 88th. Then Truex, Kyle Busch on the bottom, and Ryan Newman makes his first appearance in the top half dozen. He's in the 39.
That one car of McMurray's has got some steam. I'm telling you, he drops down in front of these guys, pulls a little gap on them. He's showing me a lot of speed right now.
And what's amazing, in those 2 practice sessions we had, Jamie McMurray really didn't do a whole lot much more than just work with his teammate Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42.
Yeah, they were way down on the speed chart, but right now that car looks pretty fast.
Truex comes back to the front with help from Kyle Busch in the 18. Greg Biffle drops in line with them. And here comes Kurt Busch to help younger brother.
I can't say enough about Kurt Busch and his race team. You know, this is the little team that can't, and this is a backup car, no time on the racetrack, and here he's up there running in the top 5, starting at the back of the field.
Harvick 29 and Stewart 14 fill in the bottom lane. But out front, Martin Truex and Kyle Busch, 2 Toyotas. They are tandem drafting, with Busch being careful to stay. He was being careful to stay to the right side of Truex's back bumper. Now he breaks free, drifts down to the left, gets some clean air.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about Kurt Busch in that 51 car. Looking to the outside there, making a pretty strong move. Junior Johnson found out here in 1960, you don't have to have the fastest car. You just got to get yourself in the right spot. And right now, Kurt Busch is making some big moves.
Well, Harvick sliced to the bottom in the 29, and Kurt comes down to cover the spot, takes advantage of that draft, and brings the James Finch car to the lead. But for how long? Truex comes pounding back on the outside. Side by side, coming to the line to complete lap 16. It's Truex by a car length.
Darrell, one thing that seems like it has come back, if you get stuck in the middle like Greg Biffle in that 16 car, they send you toward the back.
It's a sucker hole, and what some of the guys were telling me was when you get in there, the car won't suck up. It won't keep going. It stalls out. That's what the cars used to do when we ran like this.
Kasey Kahne has made a pit stop. He's now gone 3 laps down. Back on track, however.
And I hate a car that won't suck up.
Truex, McMurray, Carl Edwards. Your front 3, Kurt Busch. All 4 at the top of the racetrack. Harvick, the red car on the bottom.
Pretty interesting right now how this is unfolding. We saw this in the test, but we were all a little cautious about, are we going to see them race like this, or are they just pulling the wool over our eyes? Right now it looks pretty good.
Now watch the men in the middle. Teammates Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson trying to make something happen from mid-pack. Boy, it is hard to climb the ladder from the middle lane.
Well, Jeff Gordon and 5-time, they'll bide their time. They're pretty patient guys. They're not real, I don't think they're in a real big hurry right now.
When we get back over here to the line, it'll be 4 laps for that 10-minute break at lap 25. Got another player in that outside line. Oh, cousin Carl Edwards in that 99. He's worked his way up there to the front.
Still trying to fight his way up the middle is Jeff Gordon. Here's Matt.
Mike not happy with the shocks in the front of the 24 car. Gordon says that when he loses the air off the nose, when he's tucked up like right now behind the 18 of Kyle Busch, he loses the nose. It won't plant. They're looking at making some big adjustments on that stop.
Yeah, they can put a little bit more rebound, a little bit more suck down on those front shocks on that 10-minute break. It's easy to do with the clickers. Might fix him right up.
Let's see if the 18 of Kyle Busch can find his way up the middle. Nope, he goes to the bottom with McMurray. Is that Newman on the apron?
No, I think it was Jeff Burton. 31 car, I believe.
Yeah, he got a lot of damage in that wreck a little bit earlier. I know we interviewed Michael Waltrip. He said he thought these guys would settle down. I see no signs of that.
Well, they have. They're not wrecking now anyway. They're going in a straight line. They're at least holding their own. You ever get nervous, Larry? Does this make you nervous?
It does.
Not as nervous as you were a little earlier this afternoon.
I was a whole lot nervous a little earlier in the day.
My heart broke for you and Brandon. I mean, you had that race won. Run out of gas off turn 4. Dadgum.
The ARCA 200, rookie Brandon McReynolds came within 1,000 feet of winning it. Larry, your son had a great drive today. Didn't get the checkered flag. Bobby Gerhart did.
You should be proud, Larry. That was a beautiful run for him.
Yeah, I think he turned a lot of heads today.
McMurray comes up to the middle as Edwards closed in, and now it's a scrum back here for about the 3rd spot.
I tell you what, if old Jeff Gordon gets those shock absorbers on the front of that car fixed, no telling what he'll do, because he just came by in 3rd spot.
Gordon to 3rd, Truex back to 4th, Biffle moving around him for 5th. You're watching 6th on back right here. And it's Jimmy Johnson with Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick.
The interesting thing I'm seeing is they can't get to each other like they have in the past. They can't quite get to the guy's bumper like they have in the past. I think that's why we're seeing them run into each other a little bit more.
But you're right. When I look up there right now in 3rd and 4th, I see those 2 Hendrick drivers, Jeff Gordon in the 24, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. They know they only have about another lap or lap and a half to get up there before that break.
Here's the other interesting thing. The 4-car single file in front could not get away from the pack running 3 wide behind them. That pack has run down, inhaled, and overhauled the front 4. Half a lap to the halftime break, and everybody's going to need to catch their breath.
And everybody in that pack right now is saying, come on, boys, settle down. We just got a half a lap to go.
He saw that line coming, and on the bottom, he tried to jump down in front to see if he could get the push. Nowhere to go.
I think Jamie McMurray better watch that inside. He's got enough gap. I think he'll be okay, but that was... Jeff Gordon almost had him set up.
Jamie Mack leads the 25th lap from Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and shootout rookie Marcus Ambrose. When the last car comes across, yellow flag waves. And this will be our not quite halftime break, but it is our break. 25 down, 50 to go. And the cars will come to pit road for adjustments.
Hey, Danica, it's DW.
Yep.
25 laps of pretty fierce racing out there.
It's getting crazy.
You're going to go upstairs and watch from upstairs, I guess, and get a bird's eye view. But
yeah,
is this helping you or hurting you watching this race?
I always think it looks far more difficult watching than doing. I'd like to be out there. It feels much more calm usually, oddly enough. So maybe you can relate to that. But it looks like there's some yo-yo effects going on. You know, guys doing, you know, bump drafting a little bit, breaking away and then slowing down as the pack catches them. So it's keeping it really interesting. I think NASCAR has given the fans hopefully what they want.
I think you're right. And good luck to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been fun.
Been fun. All right. Thank you.
A week from Sunday, she'll be the 3rd woman in history to start the Daytona 500. Jamie McMurray is your leader, and the cars will come to pit road. We'll find out what they'll change and why. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. All the cars have come to pit road for adjustments during this break. Here's Dick Bergman.
With Martin Truex, led a bunch of this race. What's it like out there tonight?
It's a little crazy, but it's a heck of a lot of fun. We've got an awesome Napa Toyota. We just kind of got shuffled out there at the end, but looking forward to getting back to the front here towards the end. And it's crazy. There's only 25 laps, still got 50 to go, so a lot of time to race still, but got a great car, and all these guys are doing a fabulous job.
Good luck with it. Matt.
Looks like old school chaos out there. Is that how you describe it, Jamie?
Yeah, it's honestly back to about what we used to have. Even though the handling of the cars is still really good, I tried to use Kevin as a gauge of if you could push the whole time, and And I could stay on him when the car didn't get too hot. You just don't seem to have the speed that the pack has. So really happy with our Bass Pro Shop Chevy. We had a really tough year last year, and that's a really good way to kind of get our season kicked off.
Krista.
Carl Edwards down here checking out his splitter. So what are you looking for? I know you were worried about running over some debris on that wreck, and how does the car feel?
The car's pretty good.
Oh, with the smile. I like that.
It's good. This is fun. It's a good way to start the year, get out here and this kind of race and get your attention. So glad we didn't get caught up in that wreck. I didn't exactly see what happened, but our fast and all fusion's fast. Now we're just kind of got to figure out how we're going to pit here and what we're going to do with our tire strategy, and you know, it's just it's going to be crazy. But I heard something while I was up behind a guy. I heard something flapping down there, so we just wanted to look at it.
And that smile says it all. Thanks, Carl. Dick?
Bowyer, there were a lot of worries before the start of this race about cars overheating because of the new rules. How is your car doing as far as heat?
Well, I'm one of them that was worried, and I'm one of them that's overheating right now. But, you know, our 5-hour Energy Toyota, I knew I was kind of planning on lagging back. I was afraid they were going to wreck early, and, you know, they did, unfortunately. But, you know, I think we'll be up there when the time's right. Just kind of a new spotter, a lot of new things. We're learning each other. I'm learning how he says things, and he's learning how I kind of juke and jive. So a lot of learning out there, and hope we'll put it to good use at the end of the thing.
All right, good luck. Steve.
Well, with Kevin Harvick, Dick, and Kevin, I heard you on the radio say that you really have to be on your toes. You can't go up there and bump draft and hit the guys as hard as you have in the past year.
Yeah, you got to be careful because you gain so much speed coming up on the guys when you can't see what the gap is. So your spotter has to be on our ball. Billy's done a good job, but everything on our Budweiser Chevy's been fine. Just got to keep racing hard and try to keep it towards the front of the pack for the end right there.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve. As on every NASCAR caution, one car gets the free pass, and your Aaron's lucky dog goes to Denny Hamlin, who was 2 down. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. One big pileup, 10 laps in. David Reagan into the back of Paul Menard. 8 cars involved, 3 of those out of the race. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Ford, proud sponsor of NASCAR, by Pizza Hut. Order the new $10 dinner box today. And by Napa, Napa Know-How. 25 laps complete. We're under the 10-minute break for adjustments. And then 50 laps to go. Down to the Hollywood Hotel, John Roberts.
Mike, thanks a lot. Unfortunately for Michael Waltrip, he is with us a little bit too early. Mike, sorry to see you so quick, but good to see you.
Well, now I'm going to watch a race, I guess, right?
Exactly, and there's a lot of excitement left to go in this race. As if it's anything what we've seen so far, we got a great 50 laps coming our way. Let's take a look at a quick recap. The 25 drivers that made up tonight's starting lineup is the second largest starting field ever in the Budweiser Shootout, including the past champion Tony Stewart as well. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 88 took the early lead. That's the only time you can hear the crowd over the race cars here. He went on to lead 12 laps, but then lap number 9, the first caution came out when David Reagan and Paul Menard got together. And Mikey, you're up close and personal.
Ouch, 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 it's hot, it's hot, it's hot.
It looked awful hot there. But Jamie McMurray was the first segment winner, of course, a former Daytona 500 winner, and now we still have 50 laps to go. Your leader of the first segment was Jamie McMurray, 19 cars on the lead lap, 5 different leaders, 7 changes, 2 cautions for 6 laps. And Mikey, it's been wild so far.
Those guys learned so much just then, though, Johnny. They know what they can do now. They know how they can make runs and push. I'm with you. This next 50 laps is going to be amazing. I can't believe the 3-wide racing we saw. It calmed down a little bit there before the end of the 25-lapper. But you watch this deal. Watch the end of this 50-lapper. When it gets serious, they're going to pay some money.
And it's back to the way it used to be.
It is exactly how it used to be. Old school racing, just like the fans want. And it's fun to watch. And it's fun to do, too. But I like you also, so I'll just hang here.
Well, thank you, Michael. We certainly appreciate that. We don't want to see you this early, but we still love to see you. Well, race fans, strap in because we still have 50 laps of wild action coming your way in the Budweiser Shootout. Stay with us. Heading into this year's Budweiser Shootout, many drivers were saying that this could be the wildest and most important season opening race ever here at Daytona because we had so much to learn. And Michael Waltrip, it looks like the guys are going to school at least fairly well.
It hadn't disappointed, has it? We wanted something different than we had last year, and by golly, we got it.
All right, we've got a lot of action so far, and we also have 50 more laps to go. Mike Joy and company, who knows what we might see?
Well, what I like so far, JR, about this style of racing is, Darrell, there's no way to get away. The pack can't get away. Single file lined up. You can't get away from the pack.
Hey, Mike, it looked like the aero changes that have been made to the cars, the smaller rear spoiler, which took away quite a bit of downforce. Is that having an effect on these cars and how they handle when somebody's running into them now?
You know, Darrell, with the back bumper being longer, you just can't push as hard as you used to. You're barely onto someone, and so therefore when another car drives up beside you, it pulls those cars apart. They don't seem to be that much more difficult to drive when you're just going by yourself, maybe in a single file line, but as soon as you get 2 or 3 cars around you and the air starts moving around, the cars are a bit more unstable. They're still plenty good enough to drive, but they do get a little bit uneasy on you.
Larry, 50 laps to go. Now I got to ask you, are you planning on a pit stop?
Well, I think now they did exactly as we anticipated. They ran those first 25 laps hard. They had to find out what they've got. They had to find out where the fuel mileage is at. I think we have a lot of drivers that can go the distance in this 50 laps, but I think we have some that's going to be right there on the edge, especially if we go to overtime to a green-white checkered.
We'll find out. 50 laps to go in the Budweiser shootout. 5 different leaders already, 7 lead changes, and 50 laps to go. The Budweiser shootout on Fox is sponsored by Farmers. See how your local agent can save you money. We are insurance. We are Farmers. Getting set for the final 50 laps of the Budweiser shootout. Double file restart. Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon on the front row. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Marcus Ambrose up to 5th. Carl Edwards, just the way they finished the first segment. Green flag in the wind. 19 cars on the lead lap as we restart.
Now, Jeff Gordon starting up there on the outside of the front row. If he does what he normally does, which right now he isn't, he would fall back a little bit and then come on at the end like we saw him do at the end of that first 25 laps. That's sort of how he likes to run these races.
Got a pretty good push from Kyle Busch and that 18 car from the minute the green flag waved right there.
Yeah, right now, Larry, he can't fall back.
No, he's got to go forward.
He got no choice.
Pat?
Mike, we told you earlier that Gordon said if you can fix my front shocks, I'll be money. Well, they found a broken right front shock. They were authorized by NASCAR to change that. They spent pretty much the entire 10 minutes working on the right front corner of the nose where the hood meets the fender. They worked on that. I took a picture of it. If you log on to Twitter at my account, you can see that picture. And Gordon says that if they can fix that, they will be good, and they spent a lot of time. Gordon should be good from here on out.
Gordon, the leader. Kyle Busch falls back. Here comes Edwards in the 99, and his teammate, Greg Biffle, in the 16. Logano to the bottom, the orange car, the 20, trying to make some noise.
Biffle was, I mean, he was left, right on the back of Carl Edwards' 99 car, but Carl hung on to her.
And now Carl Edwards has not hung on to his teammate Greg Biffle in that 16. He jumps down there in the 2nd spot behind Jeff Gordon in the 24.
Boy, is that Matt Kenseth's back there in that 17 car up high trying to come off turn 4?
It is.
Woo! High, wide, and handsome.
Danica watching from the spotter's perch, high atop the Daytona Tower, the Sprint Tower here. Look how far back Kyle Busch fell, back behind Greg Biffle on the outside. That's back to about 9th place.
Now, see, when they got last year, when they get 2 cars like that, they wouldn't just kind of creep by like they're doing here. They would absolutely fly by. So there's definitely been a big change.
Steve?
I want to give you an update on Greg Biffle at the halfway break, or at the intermission rather, Mike. They had a little damage to the left rear of that car. Biffle says he's been flat-footing it throughout the entire race, and one issue is he is not comfortable with his rear view mirror as he heads to the point.
Greg Biffle back up front with his Daytona 500 car, and those are different cars than we're seeing tonight. Greg Biffle won both practice sessions today.
I think the Biff is showing what we always said about him. He's a wheel man tonight.
And Darrell, as they came through the trial for, I believe, the first time tonight, they were 4 wide.
They're a little brave on these restarts, and for, you know, they got fresh tires. This is as good as your car's going to be as far as grip goes, grip level.
And we're riding with Clint Bowyer in that 15 car. Remember, Clint told us at the break that his car seems to want to overheat when he's tucked up behind another driver.
He's got about a car length of breathing room to Carl Edwards right now. Riding with Jimmy Johnson. That's Harvick to his right.
You can kind of hear Jimmy playing with the throttle a little bit. He's kind of working his way along.
Krista.
Well, Jimmy Johnson was sort of hanging back in that first segment because he was concerned with the possibility of overheating. But when I talked to him in that break, he said the drivability on this car is great. I can go anywhere on the track that I want.
Well, Clint Bowyer just went anywhere but loose.
Oh, man, he was about ready to go into Lake Lloyd. I'm telling you, that baby was out of control.
Let's have another look.
I'm pretty sure at some point right here, he let go of the steering wheel and let it correct itself because he is gone right here. Whoa.
Well, yeah, his teammate Martin Truex Jr. in the 56 was pushing him, but he couldn't go anywhere because Carl Edwards in the 99's right there.
Here we go.
Well, that gives a new meaning to bump and run, doesn't it?
He's saying, I mean, the cars move around. When they're in packs like this, they move around so much from the buffeting of the wind that sometimes you got to take every bit of the strength you got not to fight that steering wheel. Hold it steady.
Greg Biffle on the inside lane leads them back to the line to complete 31 of the 75 laps. His teammate Carl Edwards in tow, then Clint Bowyer. Whoa, Bowyer around off the bumper of Martin Truex, and he's going for a ride.
I think he's all right. He's out through the grass.
Caution on the speedway.
See a little steam coming out of that thing too, Larry.
Bowyer tried to change lanes and peek out, but Truex was right up against his bumper. Two teammates of Michael Waltrip Racing, and we'll have a look here.
You know what happened to Bowyer down here testing, don't you?
That is Martin Truex. The 15 is Bowyer. Catching Edwards.
There he goes to that left side.
Oof.
And Daryl, no one knows this better than you. That was through the tri-oval. The tri-oval can be one of the most treacherous places on this racetrack.
The car is freer and looser right there than anywhere on the track because you don't have the banking. You're going 200 miles an hour, but you have not very much banking.
Well, let me ask Michael Waltrip, who owns both those cars. Michael, the drivers are not allowed to be in radio contact with each other. How could Martin Truex know that Bowyer was trying to change lanes to get around Edwards?
There's no way he could have known, Mike. Just like last night, Tony Stewart had no idea Kurt Busch was going to go up the hill to pass that slower car. Kurt moved up, Tony spun him out. That wreck is no one's fault. There's no way Martin knew what Clint was thinking, and Clint was like, I got to run, I got to go. Come on, Martin, follow me. Martin just couldn't react as fast as Clint did because he didn't know what was going on.
Third caution of the night. Clint Bowyer, you can hear something flat, something gone wrong as he makes his way back around to pit road. And Denny Hamlin will get the free pass for the second time tonight. That should put Hamlin back on the lead lap.
Yeah, it puts Hamlin back on the lead lap.
Select your team for the Daytona 500 and get in on the action with Fox Fantasy Racing presented by Farmers Insurance. Pick your team of 5 drivers. Play fantasy racing all season long. Sign up today at foxsports.com/fantasy. Pits are open. Let's see if there's any takers, because as Larry pointed out, you're going to want one stop, I think.
Well, no question. If you were borderline, and as I also said, you have to think about 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. You have 43 laps. You could make it easily, but I think we'll see a lot of drivers, especially in the back part of this field. I think they'll definitely come to pit road. We may see the entire field. It may only be for gas, but I think we'll see them pretty much hit pit road.
25 cars started, 3 out of the race from the lap 10 crash. Paul Menard, David Reagan, Michael Waltrip. Kasey Kahne 3 laps down. Jeff Burton 2 laps in arrears. And Clint Bowyer 1 lap down. And here comes almost everybody. Dick Berggren.
Martin Truex wanted Clint Bowyer to know that he didn't mean to turn him. He got into him a little bit there on the backstretch. They've told Truex not to worry. Bowyer is just fine. Truex for fuel. Krista.
Carl Edwards had talked about taking fuel only. They know they needed that, but he said, hey, let's get a couple new wheels out here. A couple new sneakers. They're taking right side. Steve?
Greg Biffle takes off down pit road. No tires, fuel only, Matt.
Fuel only for McMurray. He's away. Meanwhile, 4 tires and fuel. The call by Dave Rogers on the 18 of Kyle Busch. He'll be one of the last cars to leave pit road.
Greg Biffle comes out first. Only 2 lead lap cars did not stop. The 2 Penske Dodges, A.J. Allmendinger and Brad Keselowski, stayed on the racetrack. We're under caution as Martin Truex turns Clint Bowyer around inadvertently. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Aaron's, credit is hard, Aaron's is easy. And by 5-Hour Energy. Trouble turn 2. No. 5, 6 cars in it.
Get low, get low, get low. Check up, check up, check up, check up. Get low if you can. Damn good job getting through that now. Stop right there, dude. You're on fire, man.
The dreaded consequence of pack racing is the big one. "35 laps complete in the Budweiser Shootout. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you. 25 laps under green, 10 under caution. 3 caution flags, 8 different leaders, 11 lead changes.
Those 2 drivers that stayed out, they waited to the 1 to go, A.J. Allmendinger and Brad Keselowski. Then they came to pit road, and all they did was took fuel.
But even some of the guys that came in on that first go-round came back down and topped up, getting some insurance in case we go green-white checker here at the end, and it's very, very likely.
So we'll restart with Greg Biffle and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the front row. Biffle, the leader, elects the outside. Junior inside. Montoya and Logano row 2. McMurray and Truex in row 3. Kenseth and Johnson. Newman and Edwards the top 10. "19 cars still on the lead lap. Clint Bowyer 1 down, stayed in the race after that spin after a long stay on pit road. Jeff Burton 2 laps down, Kasey Kahne 3 down. And in the garage, Paul Menard, David Reagan, and in the Hollywood Hotel, Michael Waltrip. Pace cars in, 40 laps to go. Green flag.
Darrell, I'll be anxious to see what happens here. We talked about practice yesterday. McMurray in the 1, his teammate Montoya in the 42. It's taken them a while, but they have found each other right there in that outside line, and you can see McMurray in the 1 is staying right with Montoya.
Yeah, quite honestly, they didn't work well together in practice. It'll be interesting to see because they really discussed pushing each other and how they were doing it. Juan, I don't think was all that happy, but I think right now he's probably pretty thrilled.
And look at them change lanes and stay hooked up from the top to the middle to the bottom and back to the middle. Montoya to the lead.
And McMurray in the 1 stayed with him till he got into the front, and then he backed off a little bit, probably overheating just a tick.
They spent a lot of time yesterday in practice working together, and they also spent a lot of time after practice talking about how the technique and how it was going to work.
Well, that was the boldest set of moves we've seen tonight. From Jimmy Johnson up high as Edwards and Stewart in the 14 go by on the bottom.
But it looks like what has happened, Darrell talked about it earlier, Montoya in the 42 in the middle, the sucker hole falls all the way back from leading the race almost outside the top 15.
Easy come, easy go. Not so easy. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to the lead where he started the night, and just prior to getting the lead on the right of your screen, see the National Guard card behind Montoya.
Whoa.
Careful.
I tell you, that small rear blade, this spoiler down here, what, Larry, how much shorter is it than last year? 2 inches?
It's an inch, and you heard Danica Patrick talking earlier about rear downforce, rear grip gone because of that smaller rear spoiler.
It's really made these cars move around a whole lot more. I think that's creating some of these cars getting sideways the way they do.
Harvick and Ambrose side by side. And on the bottom, Kyle Busch trying to work his way back toward the front. Even with Harvick right now. Here's Matt.
Mike, one other reason for the impressive and bold moves by Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he was back in the middle of the pack and they're running 3 wide, his car was starting to overheat. He said his gauges were in the red. That's why he made those impressive moves to try to get closer to the front and fresher air.
Well, one car below the line and slides back up. Looked like he was forced down there. Was that Kenseth?
Well, what happened was Jimmy Johnson blocked Dale Jr., I believe, and when he did, he came back down in front of Kenseth in the 17 car.
But talking about Matt Kenseth, if you can look at his right front fender, remember he was involved in that crash on lap 8, had a lot of damage to his race car.
You'll see there's the 48 cars, somebody's trying to get around the outside, and he goes back down to block.
Now, the double yellow line is no man's land. You're not allowed to advance your position down there, but if you are forced down there, as you see the 17 just was, you are allowed to come back on track, reclaim your running position, as long as you don't use that area to gain position.
It's pretty obvious to me the side force on these cars is pretty dramatic with that big fin on the trunk. The downforce, the rear pressure on the back of the car, not so much. The cars get loose, but they straighten themselves back out.
Fifth in that outside line, Joey Logano, as Earnhardt drops to the bottom. And Martin Truex and McMurray bumping and banging right there.
Martin's gotten pretty aggressive here in the last little bit.
Let's check with Krista.
Well, Mike, because this is the Budweiser Shootout, drivers choose their starting positions by selecting a beer bottle. Joey Logano has never been able to draw his own before this year because he wasn't 21. He drew the best starting position of his career. He says right now the only problem he feels like he doesn't have any friends.
Hard to find friends out there, Krista. Jeff Gordon trying to work with Jamie McMurray at the front and on the outside.
What did they always say, Larry? If you want a friend, get a dog.
Because it's not going to happen out there on that racetrack.
No.
But yeah, his 2 teammates, Kyle Busch, who's working his way back up to the front a little bit. Kyle's back in 9th in the 18, and Denny Hamlin, with all of his issues, back in 17th.
You know what we're told? Joey just got a dog.
He did?
Well, not right this minute. Very recently.
Shortly before coming to Daytona.
McMurray and Gordon down to the inside now, leaving this mad pack behind them. Oh, and Gordon's in the sucker hole.
Yeah,
in the middle lane, and back goes the 24.
And he's going to keep going back till he can fall in line at the top or at the bottom.
He is, I never am sure if there's a problem with Jeff Gordon's car or if it's just something he's decided he wants to do, because we'll watch. He'll work his way right back to the front. I think he's playing the game, really.
33 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout to begin the 2012 NASCAR Sprint Cup campaign. Martin Truex Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the front. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Coming around to complete lap 47 of 75. Whoa. And forging to the front is Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon side by side, and everybody right with them.
Kevin Harvick in that 29, he needed to get to the front because we've been watching him during commercial break. He was starting to overheat back in the pack. There goes Kyle Busch in the 18.
Oh, and he almost saved it, and he did. Oh, my goodness.
He's one of the few drivers that could drive out of that right there.
Yeah, but look at that front valence there. Going down on the flat and coming back up may have damaged that car.
He damaged the nose a little bit, but that's a lot better than knocking them M&Ms off the side of it.
And up front, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. have some racing room in front of Jamie McMurray and Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, when that happened, that kind of scattered everybody, and they've kind of separated here.
But, Larry, see, that kind of proves what I was saying there a minute ago about the side force. Seems like when these cars get sideways, they want to straighten themselves back up, and that's good news. But they are a little light in the rear.
I'll tell you, Wild Thing just did one of the darndest piece of driving I've ever seen. Watch the 18 of Kyle Busch here. Just in front of Matt Kenseth.
Ooh, I think he gets a nudge right there by the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. But listen, there are very few people that have ever driven a car, one of these stock cars, anywhere that could do what he just did. That is unbelievable talent.
And I think the thing to stress when that all started, I'm sure he was right at about 196, 197 miles an hour.
What that did was split the pack in two. Let's check with Matt.
Mike, he just asked the team, does he have any right side tire smoke, maybe some rubs on that right side? They said, no, you look good. Remember, this is already a backup car. The team was hoping to make it through tonight because this is their backup for the Daytona 500 car should they have any kind of issue this week during practice.
Now, more sparks than tire smoke. 11 cars at the front in that breakaway, and then it's about 3 seconds back to the second pack.
Yeah, I just don't know how long I'd sit out there on those tires. When you slide a car around like that, you've got to damage the tires a little bit.
But what I love, it wasn't but 2 laps ago, these 11 drivers were separated. Here they are, all back together again.
No one has yet found out how to get away.
Let me tell you the other thing about Kyle Busch in an 18 car. I would have been coming to pit road. They wouldn't even had to ask me. He's back in the hunt, man. He's back in there drafting with Tony Stewart.
25 laps to go. Busch recovers in 12th place. Stewart is 11th.
This could be kind of fun to see if this little pack back here that Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart Tony leading, can they pull back up to that group right there?
Well, it's 3/4 of a second from first back to 10th, the end of the front pack, and then it's another 3.5 seconds to Tony Stewart in 11th, and we'll keep an eye on that gap. Now, in that 10th position, caboose in the front freight train is Martin Truex Jr. Dick?
Well, he's concerned about his tires, Mark. Mike, Truex said that he thinks he slid the tires when he came in for his pit stop. He did a gas-only pit stop several laps ago under that caution flag, and since then the car has not been quite as good as it had been. But he had been able to run up front with a variety of different partners in front of him and behind him before that.
Steve?
Mike, Kevin Harvick just told Shane Wilson, let me know how many laps are left. I have to keep this thing cool enough till the end of the race.
Yeah, Steve, he's been really probably one of the few cars up there in the front that we've seen quite a bit of water come out of while he was in a pack.
And Darrell, here's the progress. The second group is catching the lead pack half a second a lap. Half a second is how much faster Kyle Busch's last lap was than Jamie McMurray, the race leaders.
In the way they're able to do that, we've been talking old school drafting, is this front group, they keep mixing it up. Those drivers back there trying to catch them are staying in a line.
Yeah, they want the guys back there, Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch, this is what they want to see. They want to see these guys pull out and try to pass. That just makes it that much better for them to catch back up.
Greg Biffle back to the front with Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano. Logano's new pup is a bulldog. He got it at the end of January. Going to need more of that doggy in the window and that kind of bulldog-like tenacity to fight his way to the front from third place.
You know, a driver we've not said a lot about, Marcus Ambrose in that 9 car. They've had to come to pit road not once but twice, one time during the break, to bleed the brakes on Marcus's car because I think he was trail braking so much, Darrell, he was overheating the brakes.
Yeah, I think it was boiling the fluid. That's what we kind of determined and why they kept having to bleed them. But that's something you don't know when you come and test. That's something that happens during a race, and they'll probably address that before the 500.
The front pack goes single file, and the second group's march on the front has stopped for the moment. Tony Stewart stuck at 3.6 seconds behind race leader Greg Biffle as they try to close in on the front 10 with 21 laps. Trouble turn 2.
Dale Jr. is there. I see him. See the 29 car.
Kenseth in the
17.
Truex is in it.
That's a bunch of torn up cars right there.
Logano. Oh boy. That is Martin Truex. Dale Jr. Kevin Harvick. Matt Kenseth.
That's his second wreck of the night.
Harv's car is killed. Uh-oh. You better shut that baby off.
No, tail light, you're on fire, Kevin.
Yeah, get out of that thing, man.
Yeah, turn left to the fire truck here.
He's trying to get to the fire truck.
Yeah, that's not something to play with right there.
Stop, there's a fire truck there. Stop, stop. There's a fire truck there. No brakes, Billy.
What?
All right, jam the thing in gear, see if it will roll down. Fire's out, we're fine.
It's funny. It just shows you what a driver is in his own little compartment, his own little world. He has no idea how much fire is coming out from under that car.
And with the smoke in the hood up and smoke in the cockpit, hard to see anything in any direction. I would guess, Darrell, you can look out that left window and use the grass and the white line as your guide. If you can. Talking to Billy O'Day, the spotter.
Yeah. Joey Logano in the 20 makes that left-hand turn to the garage area. His night will come to a close.
And here comes the crash truck to aid Harvick, whose night also appears to be over. Big pile up here with 20 laps to go. Kevin coasts into the garage. Let's have a look, see if we can figure out how this got started.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't know what happened here. We'll take a look. Logano is up on the outside of Jimmy Johnson there in the 48. He gets a little bit loose, and then it looks like Marcos gets into the 9 car. Marcos gets into the back of him, and it's on.
And when Logano got a little loose and lost that momentum, might that have carried Martin Truex into the back end of Ambrose and created one of those accordion-like collisions?
Remember how we said maybe in our practice show, maybe when this race started, with the 2-car tandem, we'd probably have a lot of little wrecks. But with this kind of racing, we're going to have a lot of big wrecks.
There's the contact that sent Logano around from Ambrose. And by now, Truex is fully up the back of Marcus Ambrose bumper.
And so far, every wreck we've had has been from a driver pushing another driver right in that left rear quarter panel.
Dale Jr. tried to miss it, couldn't. Kevin Harvick couldn't. And Matt Kenseth gets turned and goes hard into the wall.
I guess, Larry, that'll be the next project for NASCAR. Find out how we stop these cars from spinning out when they get pushed on the left-hand side.
That's definitely 4 to 5 drivers that I think had race cars given the right position could have won this thing tonight.
I guess being in that second pack wasn't such a bad thing.
Now let's ride with Martin Truex. Darrell, from that angle, it looked as if Ambrose had Logano a little bit sideways before Truex got to the back of Ambrose.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ambrose gets into the back of the 20 car of Logano. I think Logano got a little bit. I would get the back of his car started to wiggle a little bit, and he got into him.
Dale Jr., car all torn up.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know what happened there. I don't think it's your fault, bud. They were all wrecking. That's fine. All right, let's get that one ready to load up. Hopefully we learned a lot. We got a good car. We'll work on it for the rest of the week here.
Steve Letarte, Earnhardt's crew chief, one of the best cheerleaders in this business, and has done a lot for Dale Jr.'s program. They came so close to a couple of wins last year. There are the cars involved in the crash, and many of those I don't think will be able to continue.
I think there were at least 3 of those cars that had a really great shot at winning this race, for sure.
19 laps to go as they hook up Truex, and a dozen or more come to pit road. Krista?
To pit or stay out, Chad Knaus, the crew chief for Jimmy Johnson, said, Jimmy, you're the driver, you make the call. Jimmy said at the last minute, let's come. 2 right sides. Steve.
Krista Marcus Ambrose in the 9, narrowly missing that incident in front of him. And as the guys have said, brake problems for them. Right side tires for the 9. Matt?
It will be 4 tires for the 18 of Kyle Busch. They've also made a chassis adjustment. And the 1 car of Jimmy McMurray is in as well. He flat spotted his tires.
You know, Darrell, as I walked through the garage area this morning, some of the crew chiefs told me that they felt like that we would see this if we had a late race caution. It's not that 4 fresh Goodyear tires make you faster, just gives you a little more security.
I want to, the way they're pushing around on each other, I want all the grip I can get.
Caution out for a big crash in Daytona with 18 laps to go. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox. Tonight's aerial coverage by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for the proving grounds of NASCAR inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. 16 laps to go on what has been a wild night of racing in Daytona. 9 laps complete. Paul Menard goes around. 8 cars involved. Menard and Michael Waltrip knocked out of the race along with David Reagan. Lap 32. Clint Bowyer off the bumper of teammate Martin Truex goes for a wild ride. He continues in the race. And at lap 55, Joey Logano, after contact with Marcus Ambrose, goes up to the wall, takes Truex. Earnhardt with him and almost tips over Matt Kenseth. And Michael Waltrip concerned about the stability of these race cars. And here's a view you don't want to see. The one of the hook off your front bumper.
Yeah, these things get down in the corner, and those pushes these guys are trying to deliver in the corner is just more than the cars can stand. You know, sometimes NASCAR will have to step in and say, don't be hitting each other in the corners, and you know, that's what we've seen so far that's caused these crashes. It's even possible, as we very well clearly saw, Martin Truex spun out Clint Bowyer coming through the tri-oval. That's a corner as well, so it's really tough. These drivers just have to evaluate, look at what they're doing, and try to lay off one another down in the turns.
Thanks, Michael. To Dick Berggren.
Joey Logano, could you tell that there was another car pushing you? How much does a guy have to hit you to spin you out here?
Right now, I mean, these cars are they're going pretty fast around here, and it just depends where you get hit and how hard you get hit. You know, it seems like I got hit once, then I got a little bit free, and it just moved him to my left rear side of my bumper. And then when he hit me the second time, it started me spinning out, and then it just carried me around. So it's unfortunate for our Home Depot team. I felt like we had a pretty good car. You know, we're up there up front pretty much the whole race, you know, up in the top 5 throughout the whole race there. And just wanted to ride right there in third place for the end of this thing. And, man, right when you thought you're all right to ride and be all right, it just got turned around.
Thank you. Mike?
With a look at some of the technology involved at our Fox Cutaway car, Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, Mike, this year we're really excited about having our Fox Cutaway car. We got a lot of neat things we can do with it, and one of the things that, you know, people have talked a lot about during the offseason has been the fuel injection that NASCAR was going to bring along here. You can take a look. This is the way the engine is set up with the fuel rail. Here are the injectors, the little coils that fire every one of the cylinders. But one thing about this, folks, is the fact that we don't have a carburetor anymore. You can see now we have a throttle body. It looks a lot like a carburetor, flows air down through it, but the main thing is we still have basically the dreaded restrictor plate. Why? We would have almost 900 horsepower if we did not have this restrictor plate to cut the horsepower here at a place like Daytona and kind of keep these speeds down where we can at least control them a little bit. We've seen a lot of exciting racing tonight, and so far, fuel injection really hasn't been a factor.
Thanks, Jeff. 15 cars on the lead lap as Clint Bowyer gets the free pass. Greg Biffle and Jeff Gordon stayed out. They did not pit. They have the front row for this restart, which will come with 14 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, row 2. Jamie McMurray, Carl Edwards, row number 3. 10 lead changes, or rather 10 leaders, 19 lead changes, 4 caution flags, 3 for accidents, plus the scheduled 10-minute break at lap 25.
This is setting up, Larry. You got Johnson and Gordon up here. You got Biffle and his teammate back there, Edwards, in 6. We got some guys sitting up here that might have some something to say about who's going to win this.
Checked and released at the Care Center, Martin Truex, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Matt Kenseth. The restart comes this time by with 14 laps to go. A good time for our first NASCAR on Fox Crank It Up of the new year.
Whoopee!
Turn 4, 12 laps to go when they come to the line. 4-time leading 5-time. Those are the number of championships for Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson running 1-2. 3-time right with him, Tony Stewart.
Yep, 3-time sitting there with them, and that's a Hendrick parade right now. And I thought that we might start to see if teammates are going to help teammates. Now's the time to do it.
Dick Berggren.
With Kevin Harvick, such a wild ride. Did you not know you were on fire?
I knew I was on fire. I just figured it would go out, but just want to thank everybody on my Budweiser Chevrolet team. They did a great job. Just gonna take a lot more patience from a lot of guys who hadn't done this before. Obviously, you can't hit guys in the left rear, and they're getting big runs, and there's 2 pedals in that thing, so you just got to keep them off the left rear, and we'll have a little different strategy next Sunday. I can tell you that.
Harvick, you smell like smoke. Mike.
Thank you, Dick. 7-car breakaway at the front, 3 wide behind them. And Brad Keselowski in the midst of that second pack had a little discussion.
Are there really only 4 cars left?
No, I'd say there's 2, 4, 6. There's only 7 in your mirror, and I'd say 5 of them are decent.
So 13 quality cars left, approximately?
Yeah, we're definitely every car in front. Yeah, I got what you're saying. 10-4.
Not as many as there were a while ago, but still 15 cars on the lead lap. Keselowski and his teammate Allmendinger have been hanging around the back of the pack for a while, but we're coming down toward 10 laps to go. 1 lap from now, go time.
I think what you see is what you're going to get until we get down to about 3 to go, when somebody thinks they can push for 3 laps.
When you look at our top 7 drivers right now that's lined up, look at the driver at the back of that pack right there. Denny Hamlin, and at 11, he was a lap down. He was involved in that crash on lap 8, got the free pass, and there he is back with the lead group.
Hamlin, the only driver to ever win the Bud Shootout as a rookie.
It's kind of Darian Grubb-like, isn't it? I mean, you think about Tony last year at Martinsville, and think about some races where they were out to lunch, but they fought, worked, got themselves back in the hunt.
Yeah, Darian Grubb, the championship crew chief with Tony Stewart from last year.
9 laps to go. Denny Hamlin's made up 2 laps. He's got that free pass twice to get himself back on the lead lap and into contention. Any one of those front 7 could win it. 8th place, Kyle Busch is 1.8 seconds back of the lead. and not gaining a lot of ground on the front pack as long as they remain single file.
Yeah, I think as long as nobody gets hot and you don't have to pull out and cool and they can stay kind of in single file like they are, it's really going to come down to Jimmie Johnson saying, do I want Jeff Gordon to win this race, or do I want to pull out and try to pass him?
But I think we're about 4 or 5 laps away from where, you know what, you don't look at the water temperature gauge. You don't care how the car's driving. You don't care that you can't talk to another driver.
Well, and I remember the guy in 3rd place saying last year, you know, he said, I run over my mom to win a race. So I'd be a little worried about that, too.
Well, that 7-car breakaway, history. Kyle Busch, in 1 lap, has caught the lead pack. And, Michael, they're all together again.
I knew they were going to come together at the end. Look at Kurt Busch. He's my guy. I think he can win this darn race. How much does he have to prove? How cool would it be for that young man to drive victory lane, just to put a little bit of trouble he had in the past way behind him?
Yeah, Michael, his owner, James Finch, said, bring me the trophy or bring me the steering wheel.
That's James Finch there, isn't it? And I love it.
Well, I like Wild Thing if he can get to the front. He caught that lead pack. Can he nibble his way closer in the 18 and have a shot to win this thing? Krista.
Mike, it's like Michael just foreshadowed exactly what Kurt Busch was thinking just a couple of laps ago. He came on the radio and told his team, this is exactly where I want to be. He was in 5th at the time. He said, I am sitting in perfect position.
There is no question Kurt Busch is an awesome restrictor plate racer. He won this race a year ago driving for Penske. He's finished 2nd in the Daytona 500 3 times.
This is like sitting at a poker table right now, and are you bluffing? What have you got? Have you got a win in hand? I tell you, as long as they stay like they are, somebody's got to make a move, and they won't make it till 3 to go.
And that's 3 laps from now. 6 to go in the Budweiser Shootout of 2012. Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson, the Hendrick duo. Tony Stewart with Hendrick power, as has Kurt Busch, 4 Chevrolets in front of the Ford of Marcus Ambrose and the Toyota of Kyle Busch.
You got to go for it, man. At some point here, you got to go for it. I mean, what difference? You don't want to run 2nd in this race.
This is all about winning. We said that at the top of the show.
Nobody remembers who finished 2nd.
And there's Kyle Busch in that 18 car. He was on pit road at that last caution. A lot of repair to that 18 car.
Yeah, remember him over there in turn 2, about ready to knock the wall down?
5 laps to go. Front 4 on the inside out in front of Kyle Busch, who pulls alongside older brother Kurt in the 51.
Yeah, 5 to go. Our top 15 drivers all on the lead lap within 3/4 of a second of each other.
Here we go. Things are going to pick up here.
Busch moves to the outside of Stewart's 14 with a little help from Greg Biffle.
This is exactly what you want to see right here. You got the outside, you got the push, and you're coming toward the front, inch by inch.
And Darrell, there's nothing Jeff Gordon in that 24 can do but what he's doing right there.
He's got what he's got, and I think he's got a win in hand.
Matt on the leader.
Mike, they're looking at making their move with 3 to go, meaning Jeff Gordon the 24 and his teammate Jimmie Johnson in the 48. He's hoping for a big shove to try to go tandem.
All the guys told me we can run 3 laps tied together. That's why I think 3 laps is the key.
4 laps to go. Kyle Busch with help from Biffle. Here they come up the outside.
They got that outside going, and that is 2 fast cars right there and 2 hungry drivers.
Yeah, I mean, the hopes would be that you can get that push with another driver and get enough lead that you then can fight it out.
Did they make their move too soon?
I don't know. I think the problem is Jimmie Johnson can't give Jeff Gordon the shove he needs.
Ooh, a little jostling there.
That's going to get.
Kurt Busch comes up the inside against Stewart. Kyle Busch leads from Jeff Gordon. 3 to go.
This is it, boys. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to do it now.
Kurt to the outside behind Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon to the bottom. Kyle Busch trying to block.
The 24 car is going to be the guy to beat. He's the man when it gets down to these end of these races.
But you see Ambrose in that 9. He's just pushing Kurt Busch in that 51 car now. Here comes McMurray in the 1, pushing Stewart in the 14.
Now look at Jeff Gordon. He's trying to figure out, should I block, should I block, should I stay here? Here comes his teammate. Here comes some help.
2 laps to go, and Tony Stewart comes around the outside. He had help from McMurray. No longer. McMurray drops back. Gordon with Kyle Busch, and Stewart slices down in front of all of them.
Tony Stewart, our current champion, trying to pick up where he left off. Look at Kyle Busch there, sideways again in that 18 car.
Well, he's driving really defensively right now. He's trying to keep Jeff Gordon behind him, and Jeff is working him over. Look at that. Jeff's going to move him up out of the groove and get by him.
Whoa, Busch is around. Can he save it this time?
Oh, there you go.
He does. He saves it. But there's a
Jeff Gordon's upside down. Jeff Gordon's upside down.
And Kurt Busch's car is destroyed.
Oh, my gosh. Jimmy Johnson's car destroyed.
Track crew quickly on the scene to aid Jeff Gordon. On the radio, he has told his team he is okay.
Yeah, I see him. I think I can see him moving.
A wild ride for Jeff Gordon as he tries to win the Budweiser Shootout, just a lap and a half from the flag. Teammate Jimmy Johnson's car damaged. Several cars to the garage already. Kyle Busch to pit road. Montoya's made a stop and comes back out.
It's been like a demolition derby tonight. Holy cow.
Tony Stewart and Shootout rookie Marcus Ambrose ahead of Clint Bowyer, Brad Keselowski, and Greg Biffle. Jeff Gordon has asked for them to roll the car over before he tries to climb out.
Michael can address that situation. Michael, you were upside down here a few years ago over on the back straightaway.
Yeah, and Michael's a lot bigger than Jeff, and the cars were a lot littler, and that was a bad combination. I could not get out, and you're talking about freaking you out. Be upside down in a car, it's smoking, you see oil or fuel, something dripping around you, you want out really badly, and Jeff's doing his best to explain that to those guys, probably about like I was explaining it, with not the calmest manner.
No, but you know what, Michael, after your deal down here, they came up with a system to turn that car back over. You see them putting those straps around the car. When they turned you over, they just pretty much hooked the record to you and slung you back on your wheels.
And Jeff Gordon climbed out the side there. I think he got out. So that's what I love about these big cars, Darrell. There's more room for those guys to get in and out, and that's a lot safer.
Jeff Gordon gets a round of applause from the crowd here, and he is okay. Let's see what happened.
I think it's really Jeff trying to get the 18 car Kyle Busch up out of the way.
Pushing on that left side again.
Yeah, he's just working on him, Michael. Kyle was blocking, and Jeff was trying to get him loose and get him up out of the way, and he just got on the left side and spun him out.
Look at the job Ambrose and Bowyer did coming through there. And there's our buddy old Brad Keselowski. We ain't seen him up front all night. He's fixing to restart with a chance to win this baby.
Yeah, I asked Larry, I said, is Brad Keselowski in this race?
Well, Jeff Gordon's car went about 1,000 feet on the driver's door before it barrel rolled to a stop.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski in that too. He's in that backup car.
You see Jeff down there. He just gets down on this left corner, and we've seen that time and time and time again.
You got to stay off the left side. What do we do about that, though, man? How do we fix it? The drivers just have to make the decision that they've got to lay off that left side.
Look at this long slide for Gordon. And that's Kurt Busch tangled up with him, and Jimmy Johnson. And that car still hasn't lost much of its momentum as it goes side over side and comes to rest.
Michael
on
made
its roof.
A really good point, though, Mike. These cars are so much bigger than the cars were 5 years ago. With the safety innovations that NASCAR has built into these cars, the drivers moved over to the center of the car 6 inches further than ever before. The roll cage is bigger. That really helped Jeff Gordon in that situation.
Dick Berggren.
Jimmy Johnson is sitting in his car, and it is his opinion that the mechanic should fix this car so he can go back out. The right front is absolutely torn off the car. There's oil on it. There is a lot of work going on here, but there are so few cars left in running condition. Johnson wants to continue the race.
Well, we have completed 75 laps, Dick, but this race is not over because of NASCAR's green-white checker rule. We'll have several attempts to get it finished.
Sorry, but there's that device they've created to turn it when a car gets upside down. That buoy and all that stuff they hook to it now to turn it over gently.
Here's our Fox Super Zoom as Jeff Gordon makes contact with the left rear corner of Kyle Busch's bumper. And by the way, Busch did a great job of saving that car from major damage. But look what happens in front of him.
What truly caused that was when Jeff Gordon got into Kyle Busch. Jeff Gordon moved up the racetrack, and there was just nowhere for most of these drivers to go.
Roof flaps deployed as the car was up on its side.
And look at Kurt Busch's car shed momentum and sheet metal everywhere.
See another driver that we felt like had one of the fastest cars here tonight involved in that, Jamie McMurray in that one car.
Yes, sir.
Denny Hamlin snuck through another one. So did Montoya.
It's a rough ride right there. Wow. Thank God for the Hans device, the seats, the way you're bolted in these things today. He's able to handle something like that and walk away. Jeff was just really working hard on the back of that 18 car, trying to move him up the hill so he could get by.
And the type of bump drafting you used to be able to do at Daytona is problematic tonight. 4 big crashes.
I feel so bad for Kurt Busch, second car of the weekend.
There are the cars involved in the wreck, and we heard Richard Childress talking about what might lead up to something like this.
Whole damn deal, as long as they let them push in the corners, they're going to wreck. It's going to cost everybody a ton of money.
He owns 4 cars entered in the Daytona 500 and said that before this latest crash.
I think I'm correct. I heard this today, and Larry, you may know for a fact, but in the ARCA race, they would not. They said no pushing. No, you can't get up on anybody in the corners.
In the corners.
In the ARCA race.
Now those cars have a different aerodynamic package than these Sprint Cup cars, but Michael, what about it getting up against somebody in the corner, whether it's the right side, the left side, or anywhere?
Well, what you got to think about, Mike, is we used to be able to push all the way around this racetrack. NASCAR, the fans didn't like it. NASCAR didn't like it, so they changed it. Back in the day, 01, 03, along in there when we raced here at Daytona, you didn't dare push someone in the corner because of the crash. You knew you would spin someone out if you tried it. And now we're in the same situation again. The drivers are learning tonight. They're seeing that you can't push on that left side. Now, there's going to be circumstances. A great example was Truex and Bowyer in the tri-oval. Bowyer moved over. Truex was left on the left. That spun him around. But with Jeff Gordon, he was hitting on that left side of Kyle Busch all the way through the turn. Eventually it spun him out. So the drivers are going to have to watch the video and say, all right, we might need to calm down a little bit here and not tear up all that equipment that Richard Childress is talking about.
Well, it took us 1.5 years to perfect the 2-car tandem.
Right.
Okay, so we got that down. Now we're good to go. No, you're not. We're going to change the rules. We're going to change the package, and we're going to make it where you can't do that anymore. These guys are going through another learning process. Maybe,
an expensive one.
Maybe by next Sunday, maybe they'll have it figured out.
Only 3 cars have not had major crash damage tonight. Tony Stewart, Brad Keselowski, Greg Biffle.
But what makes this interesting is we now have a green-white checkered. We'll throw the green, we'll throw the white, we'll throw the checkered. With that restrictor plate, like you saw with Jeff Hammond at the Fox Cutaway car, it takes a good half to 3/4 of a lap to even remotely get up to speed. And remember, double file restart, so it's truly going to be interesting when they wave this green flag on this restart.
Are you saying the wrecking may not be over?
It may not be over. We do get 3 attempts at green-white checkered.
Let's take another couple of looks here from ground level. And Jeff Gordon, after sliding 800 feet on the driver's door, up and over and dissipating energy. And here's what Kurt Busch had to say after the smoke settled down.
Really appreciate you guys working as hard as you did to give me the fun to come out here and race. I hope it was fun for you guys. I thought we could have got clear of that. Dan Gordon just wrecked the 18. That's what's happening is the rear spoilers are so small you can choose to wreck somebody.
Lots of Kurt Busch. Jeff?
Down here with Kurt Busch, and Kurt, first off, you okay? But you were so complimentary to your crew. You got out, you hugged these guys, but you got a tore-up race car here.
You know, we had a blast tonight, and you could feel the energy, the excitement, and the butterflies with 10 to go because we were in position. I mean, with 2 to go, we were right in the mix with the big dogs, and we're just a little team. You know, I'm going to stop saying that. We worked really hard to get this car. This was the backup to the backup, and we were just... You could have that butterflies in the stomach feel to know we were in position to do good things with our Tag Heuer Chevrolet. I just want to thank Tag Heuer for jumping on board tonight. I had fun out there.
I mean, what got me was, again, you said it, no laps on this race car, but this team was able to not only get you up front, but you led the race, you were in that position. You know, how much of a boost to your ego right now and your confidence right now going into the 500?
Well, we know James Finch and Phoenix Racing builds great speedway cars, and so to have this Chevrolet with Hendrick Power and Tag Heuer tonight, it was just a huge boost for this whole club. And now it's just a matter of, you know, just throwing this car away, because they said, all the guys were joking, this is a 1985 Buick. Go out there, bring it back on the rollback. So that's not the mentality, though, for the rest of the year. We need to protect our race cars and have fun, but now it's off to Hendrick.com Chevrolet tomorrow to get that car qualified in the Daytona 500.
A lot of energy down here, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Kurt Busch having a very competitive night, but ending up with 2 trashed race cars, 1 in practice and 1 in the race. And boy, it's a junkyard down there in the garage area.
But you know what, Mike? Crew members will work themselves to death to give you a good car when you put on a show like Kurt did. When they know they're getting a result for their hard work, they will stand by you all the way to the bitter end.
Up to 3 attempts at a green-white checker is what we're facing here in Daytona to conclude the Budweiser shootout. A.J. Allmendinger's car, after a long pit stop, getting back out on track with some crash damage. Jimmy Johnson okay. Looks like he has climbed from the car that he wanted fixed to get back out there and try it again. Tony Stewart and shootout rookie Marcus Ambrose lead. Clint Bowyer was a couple laps down. Got a couple lucky dogs. He's back up on the lead lap. Brad Keselowski, Juan Pablo Montoya with Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, A.J. Allmendinger. Those are the cars on the lead lap. Jeff Burton is 1 down. Casey Kane is 3 down as we get set to go back to green for a green-white checker finish.
Kyle Busch is still running, and he's been in 2 really serious wrecks. I mean, could have been. You know, don't count him out. I mean, this could be, he could drive right up to the front.
Green flag. Stewart brings him across the line. Ambrose getting a big push from Keselowski.
Both rows are 5 drivers pushing each other. Now you don't worry about that water temperature gauge.
No, she's cooled down and good to go. The 11 car down below the yellow line there, but he didn't advance his position.
But Bowyer could not stay with Tony Stewart, and that's cost Tony the lead. The Tasmanian Devil, Marcus Ambrose, 2-time champion of the Australian V8 Supercar Series and Watkins Glen winner last year. He's got a shot to win the Bud Shootout.
Yeah, he's got Brad Keselowski in that 2 car pushing him. Ryan Newman in the 39 was pushing those 2 till they got about halfway down the back straightaway.
Kyle Busch's car is dragging the track, fenders flying.
But look at the
here
run that him and Tony Stewart's got, Darrell.
Here they come.
White flag. 1 lap to go, and Busch pushes Stewart to the lead. Ambrose tucks in 3rd.
That 18 car has got to be a mess.
Now, what do you do?
But that man wheeling it, he don't care. And this is where you see your 2-car tandem right here.
Remember, he'll try to beat you when he gets over here.
You know who that was? Steve Addington.
Who used to be Kyle's crew chief and is now Tony's crew chief.
He will try to beat you.
1 mile to the finish line of the Budweiser Shootout. Tony Stewart or Kyle Busch, who's going to win it?
I don't know if Kyle's got it. Remember what happened the last time these two were coming to a start-finish line back in the July race?
Smoke versus Wild Thing to the line.
He got him! He got him!
Wild Thing wins!
He got him! I ain't believing it.
He timed it absolutely perfect.
I ain't believing it.
So that's 3 times tonight he's done the wildest piece of driving I've ever seen. That kid is such a wheelman.
And people wonder why we get so excited about when he races and when he does what he does. There's nobody that can do what he does.
By 1/100th of a second, Kyle Busch is the champion of the Budweiser Shootout.
Look at his race car. It is destroyed.
Larry, it was dragging the ground, sparks flying out from under it, and he timed that beautifully.
There it is on Fox Extreme slow motion. Kyle Busch for Joe Gibbs Racing, the winner.
That was pretty unbelievable.
Look at this last lap. Now, in the old style of tandem racing, the pusher could not be the trophy holder. Not tonight.
That was a thing of beauty. He timed that to perfection. Jumped out there, got the side draft, and went right by Tony Stewart.
Closest finish in the history of the Budweiser Shootout. And Kyle, in his 6th start in this all-star tilt, picks up the checkered flag for the first time.
Nose all caved in.
and that was a backup car that had no laps prior to the green flag being flown.
Flat out, half turned over.
That's it.
And going to victory circle.
That's just some kind of crazy right there.
5th shootout win for Joe Gibbs Racing.
I'd burn that thing down if it was me. I mean, why not?
That is the first shootout win for a Toyota. And Kyle Busch is burning down the house, and what a wild night he has had.
Watch this. Just watch this. I'm wrecked. I'm out of here. Goodbye.
I'll save it.
Slip, slide, and save.
Look at those hands in there. I mean, you gotta, folks, you gotta respect the man. That is amazing.
And then off the front bumper of Jeff Gordon. Busch to the apron, straightens it up, slides it around, and then grabs hold of it once again. And you hear those cheers in the background? In one of the biggest turnarounds that we've seen here at Daytona, Kyle Busch earlier tonight was introduced to a chorus of boos. He climbs from the car, stands on the windowsill to a chorus of cheers from the crowd. How about that? Promotional consideration provided by Well, he's gaining in the fan department, and after that display of driving tonight, I'm not the least bit surprised. Let's go to victory lane.
Winning your first Budweiser Shootout, you want it to be memorable. Could that race be any more crazy for you?
Oh, man. I don't know how many times I spun out, but I didn't spin out, you know. Amazing race. I can't say enough about all these guys. This M&M's Camry was fast, and it's fun to drive when I wasn't getting turned around, but, you know, it's a tough race, but a fun race. Glad to see the pack back like that and making it interesting for us drivers. Hopefully it was great for the fans as much as it was for us drivers, and again, first race back in the M&M's car. We're in victory lane, so that's pretty cool. Can't say enough about Interstate Batteries, Toyota, the Sprint Cup Series, thanks Sprint, and Monster Energy. Thanks for giving me my boost.
Work me through the approach and the move on Stewart for the win.
Well, somebody was in front of me. The 39 and the somebody, and they got hooked up and went, and I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to stay with the 39, but I pulled low and got in behind Stewart and just wheel mode right up through there. He had a fast car and took us by those guys around the outside, and I'm like, it's a two-guy race right now, and it's going to be either me or him coming to the start-finish line out of turn 4. And I've seen the move done before. It was my turn to do it this time. Stewart had me the last time here in July a couple years ago, so glad it was the M&M's car and putting it here in victory lane. Can't say enough about electric sunglasses, all the folks there. So everybody on this car, Double Mint, Snickers, all the fine folks at M&M's.
He scores a win in February. Let's go to Chris Devoto standing by with the guy he just beat.
Yeah, Matt, Tony came on the radio and said, guys, I just don't know what I could have done. Well, now you have a week to formulate a plan. Can you figure it out?
Yeah, it can be done. It's just I got part of it. I just didn't get all of what I needed to do there at the end. But still, considering where this car was yesterday, I'm really proud of Steve Addington and Tony Gibson, Greg Zipadelli. All three teams at Stewart-Haas Racing just did an awesome job to get this Mobile One Office Depot Chevy back together. So, and they even let me work on it with them, which is it's kind of scary, the thought of it, but it was cool to be there with those guys, and it kind of sucked to screw it up yesterday, but really proud of how good a job they did to give us a car that was that good at the end.
It's a good run, champ. Thanks.
Thanks, Krista. Kyle Busch pulls the old Daytona slingshot off turn number 4 and goes to victory lane.
Well, I said you have to respect Kyle Busch, and I mean that in the right kind of way. Respect is earned. In my book, he earned a little bit tonight.
We had the pleasure of sitting with Kyle Busch yesterday, and it was apparent to us after being parked at Texas for Wreckin' Ron Horner Day that got his attention, but the desire to win is still there.
A lot of big crashes tonight, and one truly scary moment as Jeff Gordon slid 1,000 feet on the driver's door, and then the rest of that car's energy dissipated in a series of barrel rolls before landing on its roof. Dick Berggren with Jeff Gordon.
Okay, Jeff Gordon has emerged from the medical center with a smile on. What a wild ride. What precipitated all that?
Well, you know, it's just getting down to the end of the race, time to go. And me and Jimmy were looking good there. You know, we knew those guys were coming. And once Kyle got in front of me, I was just trying to, you know, keep Jimmy on me and try to stay with Kyle. Every time I got to Kyle's bumper, he just started getting so sideways like he was a lot tonight. And I thought he was going to wreck. I saw him start to spin, so I went to go wide, not knowing that somebody had got to my outside. That turned me into those guys in the wall, and along for a ride we went. And then Kyle ends up winning the race. So pretty wild and crazy way to get it all started. Certainly an exciting finish for the race, so I'm excited about that, but not the way our Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet wants to get the 2012 season started.
So many crashes tonight, even more than would be expected for the Budweiser shootout. What is going on?
Well, the difference now is, you know, we're still bump drafting. We just can't do it, you know, for long periods of time. So now we're doing it in packs. And so, you know, you get on the straightaway, you push a little bit, and once the tires get a little bit heat in them, and you know, the cars just start, and we have less downforce, so the cars are moving around a lot. So you got to be real careful with how you push and when you push, and you know, it's definitely going to take some patience. But I was having a blast out there. Our car was awesome. You know, we had a car that could win this race, and so that's got me excited about tomorrow and for next week.
First time ever upside down in a stock car. Hope to see you not do that ever again.
Thanks, Dick. The box score will show these 10 cars finished on the lead lap. Fine runs for shootout rookies Marcus Ambrose and Brad Keselowski. Denny Hamlin came from laps down to finish in the top 5. Montoya inked the top 10 lead lap cars. Burton, Allmendinger, Kane also running at the finish. Down to John Roberts and Michael Waltrip.
Mike, thanks a lot. Right now, about all you can say is wow after that finish. What a performance by Kyle Busch. What a finish. And, Mikey, if this is a sign of what we're in for the rest of this week, you're going to want to stay tuned.
How are you going to get a ticket? We're going to sell all the tickets for the Daytona 500. That's awesome. I was on fire. I had a ball. Jeff Gordon was upside down. What did he say? I had a ball. Racing is fun at Daytona, and it's going to be amazing for the Daytona 500.
You can say what you want about Kyle Busch, but he can certainly drive the wheels off a race car, and he did it literally today. Coming up next on Fox, it's your late local news. Fox Late Night at 11 o'clock. Alcatraz, 12 a.m. It's the new girl. Check your local listings now. The next matter of business here at Daytona is to set the front row for the Great American Race tomorrow. Qualifying at 1 o'clock live on Fox from the Daytona International Speedway. We will set the front row, and then everybody else will have to go back to the drawing board. You want to tune in for that because it's been a wild week so far. Congratulations once again to Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing, who have now put their 5th Budweiser Shootout victory together, the first one for driver Kyle Busch, and a wild night altogether. A lot of bent-up sheet metal, a little bit of bent-up temper, but in the end, everybody had a very good time out on the racetrack, and the fans must have loved it as well. Thanks for coming along for the ride, everybody. It was a wild Budweiser Shootout, and we are in for a heck of a week here at the Daytona International Speedway as we get ready for the Great American Race, which is also live on Fox next Sunday. Stay with us, everyone. Your late local news is coming up next. And once again, thanks for joining us for the Budweiser Shootout. For Michael Waltrip and everybody else on the Fox family, so long, everybody. I'm John Roberts.